Welcome to the Wizard of House podcast, where Lee, Mr. T, pulls back the curtain on residential real estate. This podcast features casual conversations with homeowners, industry experts, and a variety of guests about their failures, successes, and overall experience in the real estate world. Let the Wizard of House pave a yellow brick road to your real estate success on our weekly podcast with our host, Mr. T.
Hi, everybody. It's Mr. T doing another episode of Wizard of House. And Wizard of House means I'm the wizard. Any problems you got? I'm trying to basically, with your house, of course, I'm trying to bring experts that you can call on, or you can call me, whatever you like, that I can direct you to. And of course, I can always come see your home if you're thinking of selling it and there are issues. I try to basically get it all fixed up before it goes on the market. So if there are any issues, and you're going to move a year from now, you better start working on it now. Don't wait till I give it 2 weeks to come and fix everything, because that's not enough time. Today, I have the pleasure of having another expert who has impressed me, and he's Derek Jensen with Backyard Works, Backyard Dirt Works LLC. He's local. He's from Port Orange, and again, he came to my rescue. I felt it necessary to bring him. I'm going to introduce him to him. Basically, what he does is, if you have any kind of standing water, any kind of drainage issue, any kind of washouts, like you wake up and you see there's a bunch of water standing on the sides of your house or in the backyard, in the front yard, wherever. Like if you have your gutters are falling apart, or your gutters are maybe the cause of your flooding. It might be your gutters just the way you have them. Or if you want to carry the water, you want to do what we call a French drain. And that's who we have here. We have Derek Jensen. Welcome, Derek.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to come out to talk to our listeners. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and, how you got to this area, where you're from, family, all the good stuff.
Okay. Well, let's see. I specialize in drainage. I moved to the Port Orange area 7 years ago. My wife is an RN and is now in upper management in the state. So that kind of pushed me out of what was my career, which was doing drainage issues for a large paving company on a massive scale with FDOT, FEMA, developers. And once she was promoted and traveled, that kind of pushed me into my own thing. So now I handle people's residential and some commercial issues. I went through school at Daytona State with drafting and design. Prior to that, I cut my teeth with a company developing D.R. Horton and KB homes in Flagler and Volusia. So that's kind of how I started my Florida dirt work experience. Let's see, prior to that, I was in the military and came from South Dakota. I guess I learned about drainage because up there they have massive fields and they run drain tile, which is very similar to the pipe I use here. And that's how they remove standing water out of massive fields. So I kind of brought that theory down here and have developed off of that. I guess more or less. I have one daughter in Spruce Creek High School and one son at, I always forget what middle school he goes to.
Silver Sands?
No.
Creekside?
Yeah, Creekside. Okay. That's where he goes. Yeah. He'll be in 8th grade this year, yeah.
So how old is he?
He is 13.
13, yeah.
Yep.
I have a son same age.
Yeah.
Going to the same school.
Yeah.
He's got 1 more year left.
He works and golfs.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. and whatever else I tell them to do.
Yeah. So I understand, I guess FDOT, guys, I'm sure a lot of people know already what that is. It's Florida Department of Transportation. So he actually worked for the state and FEMA,
Right.
federal emergency.
Yeah, the contractor. I personally worked with PNS Paving.
Yeah, so he worked with the paving, but
Yeah,
it was
right.
the jobs for FDOT.
It was local, county, state, federal.
So
you
when
know,
we had some floodings, I don't know if you were there 17, 18 when all that mess came through.
Yeah. And actually, and so mostly what I did was, I mean, we had rebuilt some of the seawall right off of US 1, bringing in fabric and rock over by all the mangrove trees and all of that.
Yeah.
And then the Sweetheart Trail, both sides of the drainage there, bridges, everything, parking lots, full developments.
Yeah. So I was in New Smyrna the other day. We were in the boat, actually. We were going under that little causeway where Kwaiasisi is, the North Causeway.
Yeah.
And on this side, and I look over, and the bridge, that skirt of it, when there's grass and then there's wall, that whole wall was gone.
Yeah.
So I looked up on Google Earth, and I seen before the wall was gone that there was a hole creating right on the inside of the wall.
Yeah. And with this much rain.
And if you look at the Google Earth, you can see what happened. All that water went in, and the whole wall collapsed.
Yeah, and I've
amazing.
Done, on the intercoastal, different seawalls. I have a core drill, so we'll punch a 4-inch hole through the seawall and then hook our pipe up to it right off downspouts, because that is legal, right? Roof water, as long as it doesn't touch the yard. So then that's, similar to other.
Yeah, so, okay, so tell us, like in Port Orange, like I understand there's parts that are hard pan areas, like west of 95, like where we are right now.
Yeah.
I've always been told that it's a hard pan area. The water sits a day or two and then disappears. Kind of, it sits there. It doesn't go away like a lot of like sanded or east of 95.
Something with more loam and more.
Yeah. So, a lot of people panic when they buy a home the first couple of days they're there, and then we have a heavy rain. They walk outside and they're standing in water. But some of them are bad grading.
Yeah.
Wrong grading.
The rule of thumb in Florida is standing water. Like if you're dealing, I guess this is more of the local government, but it's usually 72 hours. If the water is still standing, then, but one thing in the newer developments, especially in Volusia, when they brought back in their dirt for final grading, they bring back in fill dirt. They're not bringing back in a topsoil. So it really doesn't have anywhere to go. I mean, when I'm digging up, putting in pipe and trenches, there's nowhere. It's packed. It's just like, kind of like,
concrete.
Yeah. There's really, so if the grading isn't correct.
So they used to bring topsoil?
That's what,
or better soil, let's say?
That's what you want to see, I guess you would say. I don't know if.
So that becomes over time, it becomes really compact. So it's not really just all hard pan, it's what they brought in.
And how they compact it. So if they're doing initial development and they just use the skid steer, well, the skid steer is only 8,000 pounds. It's not enough compaction rate. Like, you always want to run your tracks over it before you cut it to get it down. But a lot of operators don't do that. So they're just driving over it once and calling it good. Well, after time and settling and, however much water hits it. And
yeah, they do their compaction test.
Right. But none of them really, they compaction test sometimes on the pad, but none of them, for the yards, it's just kind of an afterthought. I mean, you're lucky sometimes if they even pick the trash up around them, honestly. Because sometimes I'll be digging a trench and pull out construction debris. So, and all of that takes into account how the water is going to go in.
I've owned houses, where there was a sod farm. I'm not going to name any many subdivisions because a lot of them were.
Right.
But some of these were sod farms. So they said, over the years, they've just planted so much sod and removed and soil, and the ground is just hard.
Well, and every time you
So
drive
we
a
go
tractor
to plant,
over it,
and you cannot dig.
Right. And the thing
especially
is,
me with my bad back.
St.
Bad
Augustine
back. And,
can grow on top, so you can still have grass and your yard be messed up, and you really not know until the drainage issues start.
Like some plants don't grow.
Right.
Yeah, you're like,
so normally, like up north, a lot of people are moving down here. The soil you plant in, you seed it, it plants in. But St. Augustine is grown from plugs initially, so it grows on the surface. So however the dirt is how the dirt stays once the grass grows. And that's water travels at the level of dirt, not at the grass level.
What's your thought on the way they're grading the homes? Are they okay? What do you...
I think people...
Because I'm seeing like on some homes, like the water comes in through where the block sits over the slab. They have a slab leak.
Right.
And come to find out it was graded wrong.
Yeah.
And the house is higher.
I'll tell you,
the grade is higher than the house.
Two things that I unfortunately are true is, number one, Bobcat will sell a machine to anybody. You don't have to prove you know how to use it.
Yeah.
And number two, they'll bring in whoever's cheapest to do the final. And if you don't have a foreman or a superintendent or somebody in charge that actually knows what they're doing in that final, knows how to shoot a grade or how to pull a string or whatever, however you verify, which they don't.
And the city doesn't.
Yeah.
And the city says, okay, here is your swell.
Because they'll have a 20...
And they come and they see a swell and they pass it.
Very few houses here are 50-50 forward back.
Yes.
So a lot of them are 70-30. Okay,
Explain
so that would be
means.
50% of the property drains to the back, 50% drains to the front.
Right.
Well, here a lot of it's between 60-40 to 80-20.
But if you have a lake behind you, it's probably 60-40.
Well, most of the time, they kind of want it to come up into the drainage, but if that drainage is running into a retention pond, then they'll drain out to it, but with a buffer zone, which is usually 5 foot of natural grass. They don't mow it a whole lot. That's kind of there to purify chemicals as they go into the water.
Oh, I see.
So, but nobody's verifying that. And if they used a skid steer tracks to compact it, and there's just,
as I'm mostly really concerned with homeowners trying to manage drain issues by themselves. So let's say on the sides of your house, you're just water sitting there. Do you recommend like putting, river rock, do you recommend that, or do you recommend, because they say don't put mulch.
Yeah.
So some people go put river rock all the way around the house, which is supposed to be good. But if you have gutters, you really won't have a downpour of stuff.
Well, and
right? The gutter will carry the water to the front and it runs out.
If you have curbing or edging, then you don't want to trap the water, period. A lot of times in a lot of homes, I see it more so in Ormond, but they came in with decorative curbing around.
Yes.
Well, now the downspouts pointed down at ground level, shooting out. There's 2 inches of that curbing, and it's getting trapped in there.
I've seen them now. They're actually cutting a place
for water to come out.
For the gutter to sit on the curbings. So it comes over it.
And that's why I did, like the downspout drains are what I call them at one of your properties, is because if there was edging, that's how I get around that. I just pipe it right out.
Right, exactly.
And that's, but if you're having an issue and you don't have edging or curbing, then you can build it up a little, make sure it's just pitched away from the house, and then use a fabric, and then you can go rock, and then it'll come down. But there's a common misconception, and I see it a lot with, I don't know if it was like an old school thing, but people will just dig pits and then put rock, and then that's it. And then they use that.
And they think it filters down.
Well, I don't know I don't know what. I don't know why they, I think that was a Florida thing before I moved here.
Yeah.
But you can't take a glass, fill it full of rocks, fill it full of water. You're better off just leaving it a hole. And if that was the theory, was to catch it, but the dirt 1 foot down doesn't filter any better than the dirt at ground level if it's all the same dirt.
Yeah, it's going to still create a washout.
So you're really just shoving the problem low where you can't even see it anymore.
I mean, is this because I see a lot of people run a pipe and then they run it in the ground and they let it go.
Yeah, that's not.
I see it all the time. Like, where does it go? They go nowhere. It just goes.
Yeah, and then it comes up, bubbles up at the downspout, and then when it bubbles at the downspout, it starts creating issues right at your pad. Like the one spot you do not want the problem the most.
Because it can't go down, right?
No.
When you're digging it into the ground.
Well, I mean, that's why everything I do is like, when I emit the water, it's at surface level. Number one, you can just verify everything's working correctly. But then you give it a shot to disperse out. And that's why when I run the emitters or the outlets to my systems, that's why I run them far enough away from the property that they're already downhill, that they're already gone, and then let it flow, let it, whatever.
Yeah, and he has to also be careful too that he's following the guidelines. Some homeowners just go dump it into. It ends up flooding your neighbor's yard, and then the neighbor is calling the city.
Yeah.
And then you go. So
I am Florida Friendly Landscaper certified from the University of Florida.
Yeah.
So that really opened my eyes on being more environmentally friendly, like how to avoid. And it's not so much I won't get in trouble, but the homeowners or the homeowners association or the builder or somebody else can call the EPA. I've dealt with the EPA on different projects as my own business, being, nosy neighbors calling in, they come in, I show them what I'm doing, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But that's because I know, like, there are a few properties over in Ponce Inlet I've done with the intercoastal in the backyard, and I don't drop it right in the water. I drop it, 15 feet from the water, and they already have a natural vegetation area, and then it's safe.
That's right.
And
so there's different ways to manage water. So he's, of course, gutters, some people hate them, some people love them. I know it becomes a maintenance issue eventually, but if they're installed right, they're good, they're done properly, they really are a lifesaver when you get these heavy rains.
Yeah.
And I've noticed some of them come down, they go to the gutter spout, and they're just running under the foundation, which is definitely not recommended. Even the AC drain pipes now, the city is requiring that pipe to come out 3-4 feet.
When in Venetian Bay, in the newest part where they're building, if you're coming in off 44 on the left there. So I've done some drain systems in there where I've actually tied the AC drip line into the system.
Oh, really?
And then that way it just can flow into there all the time. It's very technical because you have to watch backflow, which, it just...
Yeah, sometimes I know the AC guy tries to suck it out and it backs up.
Yeah, I leave a coupling with screw and you just pop it out and suck it out and put it in. And
that makes so much sense because everywhere I go, it's dripping and it's going in the foundation.
Yeah.
Then I go around the corner and I see the spout. They did a beautiful job. Okay, they got the gutter and it's just there, and all that water is just going back under the foundation. And
you'll see it come out like 3 foot, and then you'll just see it turn back in, and you're just...
Yeah, you're like, nope. That's not. So there's also, am I correct? Like I personally have a beautiful management of the water on my house that I had built. And the pipe comes down, and it goes underground, and he goes into one of those 4-way boxes, and it doesn't go anywhere, the box. It just fills up, and it bubbles out.
Yep.
It doesn't create a washout at all.
Right.
And I love that. I didn't have to pipe it again out to the lake or go another 30 feet. We just pipes 2-3 gutters on each side of the house. They go into this big container that's like a French drain. And it really saves those.
Does it emit up then? Once it fills so far, then it comes out and dumps? But it's coming at a real low rate.
Yeah, low rate because it's a bucket, it fills up and it just bubbles out. It's not like that force. So basically it stops the force of the water from washing out everything I've got, or, come back into, of course, it all depends where you locate that.
Right.
But I love it. I tell you, I've got one in the corner outside of my pool, where one comes out there and one is a pool spout. They both go into that box and never have any kind of issues. Now, the ones he also does that, and you also do when there's water standing between homes.
I can do a French drain, which is a rock fabric pipe combination. I do that a lot more.
Rock too, huh?
Yeah, in like West Volusia. So DeLand, we do a lot of that, where the houses are.
These new communities where there's only 8 feet between the houses.
Some aren't even that. Some
feet.
are AC pad. I can't even fit my machine through
and I walk and I'm like, flop, flop, flop. And it's the sprinklers and the rain. Nobody turns them off.
Yeah,
and,
it is. So
I've seen, you come out and you.
Yeah, if you have to sometime. Most of the time, I can fix the problem with downspout drains. Now, I can say that and other people can hear and be like, oh, I'm going to go out and, but the thing is you have to know what you're doing. I have digital levels. I have to make sure you have, because this is all gravity fed. I save people from having to buy pumps. I save them from all kinds of stuff.
He's the expert, guys. Like I went to Home Depot trying to get what size pipe do you get? Where does it go? The connections. And then I went and bought these things that just sit, and they're plastic, that it directs the water, and it cracked. Of course, my long guy went right over it, and crack. I was like, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times I've learned, just bring the expert, let the expert do it, because it's a one-time job. Okay, it might cost some money, but you're done.
Yeah, and you're done. All of my drains, downspout drains, come with 2-year warranty. They're transferable. Nice. So you get them put in, you can easily add that much money I charge back to the value of the house.
And you charge per foot, I think?
Right.
So, and that includes material,
so
labor.
It's so much a downspout, and then with that I include 10 foot, because a lot of times, if their swale's correct, I can just run a 10-foot run into the swale, get the water completely off the foundation, done. Sometimes I have to pipe them all together. Just depends on the layout. So I include that in with the downspout charge. And then it's so much a foot. And then that's it. And then I take care of everything that...
And you're pretty booked now, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, the projects it's starting to be a lot bigger ones.
Yeah. So, you're directly involved. He's very hands-on. He has shown up in rain for me to just see where the water is running, and that's what I love. Some of our, business owners, small business owners, such as myself, we're very hands-on, and nobody can match that. And I really appreciate.
And that's the thing.
Everything
I come out,
you did for me.
Talk with you. I don't just do drains. I do solutions.
Solutions, exactly.
There's 10 different things I can do to fix any issue. I've seen it all. I've done it all. I know what I'm pretty much expecting. If I don't know, I tell you, sometimes we won't know till the excavator bucket's in the ground. But I'll know what I'm seeing once I get there.
So I had brought another crew. They did a lot of the work, but 6 months later, I own one of the properties where the back of it is a slope. And every time it rained, we were losing all the dirt. And then we put railroad ties. I was still losing all the rain. So they brought dirt. They brought, it was like a $7,000-8,000 job. And then a year later, I'm back to same problem. So I brought Derek. So if you have properties where the back of it is in a slope and you're losing grass, you're losing the dirt, you're losing the foundation, you call Derek, because he's really an expert at this. They know what fabric to put in, where to put the fabric, where to put the rock, where to put the drainage. And he comes back, and if there's an issue, they redo it, they correct it, they add to it, they take away from it, and until you get a solution. So, sometimes it's very easy to give up, but right now, what I'm noticing, we're getting more and more rain earlier and earlier in the years, like heavy rains. And keeping the water out of your home should be your number one priority. With the grass and the dirt, I mean, you could easily get flooded. One sprinkler system can flood a house. One sprinkler head, I've seen it flood a house because it was pointed right at the house. So just imagine all this rain we got there. There's no gutter. Everything's coming down, and that water is running everywhere. And if you find the tiniest hole, it's coming into your house.
Yeah, and then you have
and
mold,
then you're done. Then there goes your beautiful wood floors. Your beautiful, the drywall. Cut this, cut that.
When I was a home inspector, did mold inspections as well, and I mean, that would be probably, I would say, one of the number one things where people having a sprinkler head pointed at their stucco, cracked by the window, started intruding through that tiny little, and then it gets all the way into the windowsill, walls soaked, windowsill soaked, everything around it, and then you pull the baseboard off and just green behind it, or it's stacky back.
I just ran into one the other day.
Yeah,
just a little hole by the window.
That's it.
And he found the water in. It was coming in. He was going under the.
And if you're wondering if you are experiencing any type of issues, the number one telltale sign I look at, so if I'm walking the property and we get to a downspout, it looks bad. If the home inspector in me wants to know how bad it really is, so I'll look, and if you have stucco cracking with the block underneath, then that's a stucco issue. But if you have cracks coming straight down through the block, that's a foundational issue.
Yes.
So if you see stucco cracking, even step cracking, you need to
seal it.
Yeah, instantly, right away, seal it.
People think, it's a hairline crack, but
that's not it.
The water can go right through the block.
Stachy botrytis, which is black mold, it needs 30 days of constant moisture. So if you're running your sprinklers and rain, and it's getting intruded on, it doesn't take it's not drying out in 12 hours. It's taking days to dry out. So it's easy for something small to go very bad.
Yeah. So again, goes back to my last episode and the episode before, maintain your home. Walk around once every year or two, bring your painter back. If you're not able to, just tell them, hey, I want all the windows caulked inside out. I want any cracks to seal, and check your drain, gutter spouts.
That'll be not a lot of times, but there are, I would say probably 20% of the time, I get called in, and if your gutters are plugged and your downspouts are plugged, you're going to start having water come over where they're not supposed to. But if it's intruding on this end and it's hitting and running down like that, gutter cleaning in Florida, whether you have trees above you or not, is very necessary. It's as important as anything you do as a homeowner here, honestly. And that's another thing we do, gutter cleaning. We have gutter guard available. Like, I can literally come in and do a backyard renovation.
Yeah, guys, tell us what gutter guard is. Because maybe some people don't know what that is. It's that filter.
So the gutter guard we use as a company has a lifetime warranty called Bulldog Gutter Guard. It's metal, goes over the downspout, then it gets drilled in, and it allows water in and it keeps debris out. So then that way, all you have to do is blow it off,
leaves off
once in a while.
Yeah, because I see a lot of them, people aren't maintaining, and there's all these leaves sitting on top of it.
Bulldog has a bit of an angle that it'll self-clean it once it rains again. It stays pretty clean. Other companies, no, not so much. Sometimes they're, in the middle they have... And
Bulldog is a brand you're going to be carrying?
Yeah, they're lifetime. I get that through Lansing Building Products. That's who they're... a
lifetime warranty on them.
That's
a great idea that it has a slope and still holds the water.
Right. So and they work great. And I see a lot of different designs. I see what's on TV. I see everything everybody else does. But when we get rain here and we get 2 inches in an hour, it's not a joke. Like, you can't have something that looks good on TV but doesn't actually function when you have 800 gallons an hour coming down the side of your roof. It's, you know, that's pretty much what a single axle tanker truck holds. So for the average size home, for every inch an hour, per side, you get about 800 gallons.
How often do you need to clear your gutters?
I would...
Once every year, once every 2 years?
If you see leaves on the ground.
What if there's no trees?
Once every 6 months. I mean, you'll know.
Even if there's no trees?
I would. Because,
really?
I mean, there's wind and there's...
Wow.
Just to be safe.
So once a year minimum. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's... Or we can come in and clean them, or you can have them inspected or whatever. But the thing is, when you go up there to clean them or inspect them, you're also checking the inside of them. You're making sure everything is still, you know, because if you're having a gutter leak, you'll catch it on the inside too. It'll just look different. It'll be discolored a little bit. It'll just have a little bit different look to it that you're going to be able to know, hey, let's get some caulk in there or sealant in there. And
yeah, because at the end of the gutters also, guys, I see the gutters doing a job, all the water comes, and then at the bottom is blown out, and it's just coming right out.
And those are simple fixes that I'm sure there's 7 million YouTube videos, but you know, I want to say handyman and all these people should know it, but I really don't know if I mean, we can fix them if they need to.
So no job is too small for you.
Right.
You'll come out and do cleaning and maintenance of current gutters.
Yeah, if it's required.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to get things back flowing.
Is there a brand for different gutters, or I guess
it's mostly all just
what company, whichever.
Yeah,
what company.
Pretty much. They all buy the metal from the same place. They all roll it through.
You don't do gutter installation,
but I have.
Yeah, you can.
I have guys. I have 2 different companies I work with that if one can't get there, the other one can. They're both reputable, honest dudes. I know the owners of them.
And also, guys, like some of the lakes I've noticed in some of these communities, there's washouts behind people's houses.
Yeah.
And sometimes the developer or the HOA says, hey, that's your property.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen them come in and do railroad ties, on a couple of houses. The developer did because that was
they probably got
from when they developed it. But if they do have issues like that, you think you could help?
Yeah. Yep. I can, if it was developed within a community in the last 10 years, I can fix it.
You could fix it.
I can fix it. I have sod cutters that it's majority of the time we don't even, if the sod is okay, we don't even have to replace it. I can come in, cut it, we can throw it back down, add in our topsoil, whatever we need to.
I mean, if it's getting close to your pool, and you're losing all that sod, but you're seeing a gully created, and that's dangerous. That's like you could lose your whole
everything. I mean, because you think that a lot of the pads for pool decks are cut. They have that down the middle for drainage. Well, what happens when that's climbing and coming back? And then you don't really want to test how well your pool is sealed. You don't really want to test that. If you can avoid it, you're better off doing that for sure.
Or your pool screen.
And I can fix that coming off. I have like 8 different, I don't even know what you call it, methods I use. And between the 8, I can fix pretty much anything in Florida. It's just a matter of, it's usually a combination. It's not usually just going to be one thing. Now, if it's a newer property, I usually can get away with one thing, and that's usually downspout drains. Because we can usually pull enough water out of the situation from the roof that all that's hitting is what comes from the sky, and the ground can take that. Mm-hmm. It's not usually the sky causing flooding issues. It's usually the roof.
But, again, he has to come see what kind of dirt you have, what community you're in, probably look at the street, see if everybody having the same problem. I mean, sometimes it's not as simple as we think it is.
Yeah, it's usually a multi-step process, but I can usually do all the steps in a day or 2. Yeah. But it's usually, and sometimes, like Venetian Bay is kind of notorious for this, but the groundwater is just high in general. So if you open up your irrigation box or your water box and you look in the lid,
it's full.
Then that's where the water is.
Yes.
You know, if you're wondering what it's like to build on the swamp, get a 5-gallon bucket and get an ice cream pail. Fill the 5-gallon bucket up with water and shove the ice cream pail in. And that's what our houses are doing. That's what pads are. You know, it's the same. Where's the water going? It's going up and out.
Oh, wow.
And it depends on how well they were, you know, the initial design and the development was. In initial construction will tell you how well it will handle that.
I see that all the time.
Yeah.
We open to turn off and it's full of water.
But I can avoid, if we are able to, you know, I can pipe a lot of that water out. So we're not necessarily going to solve the groundwater issue, but we're also not going to add to it. And it gives your yard a chance to dry out. Maybe 6 inches below that, still wet, but at least the top, it's usable. The lawn guy can get through without making ruts, or, you know, it's a lot better than what a lot of these people are dealing with, where they can't, you know, if you're 75 years old, 80 years old, you can't walk down the side of your house and you have 2 inches of standing water.
Right.
And it's slippery. I mean, that's not, you know.
So, I mean, again, thank you for listening. This is Mr. T, Executive Realty, with Backyard Dirt Works LLC coming to you. And his name says it all, and so does mine. Executive Realty, Backyard Dirt Work. You know, how did you come up with that name, by the way? I love it. It's just...
Because that's what I do.
And your logo is great, the palm tree.
This is actually a house in Port Orange.
Oh, is it?
That I took a photo of my excavator in front of and asked them to turn it into a logo. And
so any kind of backyard work that you need... Derek Jensen is the owner and the operator and a hands-on man. You can call him. He's going to give you all his information next and how to reach him. I found him, guys, through Facebook. So just so you know. And I'm glad I called him, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can be reached at 386-453-7282. Or you can find me on Facebook or send me a text. That's usually the most how I'm communicated with is phone calls, text messages. I'm kind of more of a little younger, but more of an old school guy.
And you're quick. I text you and you answer right back.
I try to if I'm able to. I know how.
Yeah.
I'm a homeowner. I know how it is, how all of it is. You know. So and it's not always easy. So yeah, you can reach me there again, 386-453-7282. I specialize in drainage. I try not to step on a lot of other people's toes. I get a lot of references from pool guys, landscaping companies that are sick of spinning out, next to houses. Just that's a lot of, but I don't try to step on their toes either. So
wonderful. And you know how to reach me, Mr. T. You don't have to spell my full last name. You just Google Mr. T, Wizard of House, or go on Spotify and look at the Wizard of House podcast. I'm also on YouTube. Everywhere, just basically type in Mr. T, Wizard of House. I'm your local real estate broker I've been selling real estate since 1995 in this area. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, you've seen
That's longer than I've been alive. Yeah. Crazy.
Feels like it probably, huh?
26 and I've been selling real estate for 27. How could that be? But, I'm reversing my age numbers. I just turned 62 yesterday.
Oh.
By the way, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Or the day before, actually, Monday. And I've been telling people I turned 26.
Yeah.
So somebody said, "Oh, happy 27." I said, "Don't you dare age me."
Yeah, don't. No,
I'm 26.
That's next year. Yeah.
Thank you, folks, for listening. You can reach me again at 386-299-8989. That's my direct cell phone, 386-299-8989. For anything real estate related, if you want to sell your home, if you want to just get some staging tips, if you want to prepare your home to sell it, if you need to, let's say, sell yours first before you buy it, I can find basically, what was your thing? He's a solution man.
Yeah.
And I have a solution for everything. So thank you again for listening to me. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.